Hello and welcome to the inaugural episode of The Frozen North, your source for the best adventures and RPGs that video games have to offer. My name is JJ, and I'm here alongside my friends and co-hosts.
Hey, my name's Mark.
And I'm Brian.
We have got a fantastic show for you today. We just decided to do this a couple of months ago. We've been planning it ever since, and we love talking about video games so much we figured we'd record it and let other people criticize the stuff that comes out of our mouths. So I guess the best way to start would probably be to introduce ourselves and tell you a little bit about who we are and what makes us a gamer. Like I said, my name is JJ. I've been playing games since regular NES. I love RPGs especially. That's my number one. I like adventures though too, and I mean I'll pretty much play anything if it's fun and got a good story. So, Mark?
I've been gaming as long as I can remember. In fact, JJ was there for some of it. Some of my history of gaming.
That's true.
Started with the NES probably about 20 plus years ago. I love it. It's awesome.
Good stuff.
Well, as you know, my name's Brian. I have been gaming pre-NES days to one-up JJ. I played on a very, very old DOS-run computer program, played a game called Sky Assault. I don't know if anybody remembers that. It's basically like 7 pixels.
Sky Assault.
Completely, you type it in, and it's like lines that you use. It was a half circle with a line that made the cannon that shot a line in the air, and that was it.
That's all you needed.
And I was 4, so that's what fostered my gaming love, I guess. And to this day, it's like can't get enough of them games.
How was the storyline?
Well, the story was, hey, here's a cannon, shoot things, and I did that as 4-year-old. Man. That's why I'm so awesome.
It's pretty incredible, and this actually will lead us into our next segment, which is what have you been playing lately? It's amazing that you talk about something that's that old, and like I just this morning started playing The Last of Us, which just recently came out, and I mean to think of how far video games have come from that point where you're shooting a line with another line. I mean it's unbelievable the amount of the graphics, the storytelling, the controls, everything. It's pretty amazing. Like I said, I've been playing Last of Us. I just finished Phantasy Star, the very first one. I'm a big retro gamer. I like the old stuff, so I kind of every now and then will go back to one of those, and I've never actually tried this. I have to say a big kudos to anybody who has actually beaten that game without an FAQ, because those 3D dungeons are brutal, and it's unbelievable.
What did we do in the days without game facts?
Graph paper, apparently.
Yeah, draw the map.
Oh, no, I cannot imagine it. And you can call me a wuss if you want. I don't know. Does the internet insult people? I'm not sure. But
I will be fine.
Yeah, totally. But seriously, anybody who has done that, hats off to you. It's unbelievable what was just, had to be done back then. It was crazy. So, Mark, what you been playing?
I've been playing. Well, I was playing The Witcher, but I kind of got distracted by the internet telling me I had to play The Last of Us. I'm about 3/4 of the way through it. I should point out that you're gonna learn this about me, but I really like to nitpick. That's one of my favorite things.
I know that about you,
Mark. He's a nitpicker.
No, it's got an amazing story. Just the opening first 15 minutes or something that's crazy. It's a new experience in gaming. Can't talk too much about the story though, since people are still playing it, and I don't want to spoil anyone. But the gameplay, I don't like it. The controls are. It's got really bad loose controls. It's third person. I feel like I'm dragging the crosshair across the screen to try and aim at stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. Don't you find that like more realistic though? For you're not like a dead eye shot.
I don't think so.
Okay, nitpicker.
You know what? I have to agree though. I'm gonna play through it simply because it's beautiful and the story is phenomenal. Like you said, the first 15 minutes. I was hooked. But I'm not a big fan of any of those games that have like your you're in third person and they puts the person in the lower left hand corner of the screen. That's just awkward to me, like moving around and stuff, because I want to go straight, and they do go straight, but at the same time I'm like trying to kind of cock my head to the side to line it up right, and it's just weird.
Yeah. I also kind of feel like having 15 bullets does not mean I have full ammo. So it would be nice if I could pick up more than 15 bullets.
Like have an extra clip or something.
And it'd also be nice if I could like pick up any of the pieces of wood I found in the environment, not just specific ones to use as melee weapons.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think the game is mainly just designed for the story.
The story is incredible.
So it really is.
It's worth fighting your way through the frustrating gameplay.
You'll have a different opinion once you actually beat it. I promise. The gameplay will be completely irrelevant, and that's how it went with me.
Yeah, I felt the same way about Dead Space when I first played it, because it has the same like point of view, the third person lower left, and I couldn't play through that one because of it. But from what I did play, I mean the story and it scared the crap out of me. I'll say that.
Yeah.
So Brian, how about you?
I just recently wrapped up a DLC run on Borderlands 2. And then I'm actually currently taking what I like to call a journey. And now what that journey is I am actually playing through Final Fantasy 1 through 13-2 in chronological order.
You're a madman, sir.
Yeah, I am a sadist.
Enjoy punishment.
Mark is a nitpicker. I'm a sadist. And to throw in a little wrench, I am not using guides because I'm trying to do it old school. So I'm probably going to break the PSP.
He's not using guides, but he's asking me every few minutes for where he should go.
I'm not using official guides, but I am using friendship guides. Final Fantasy, the journey that's happening. So
you know what? Considering you haven't played or haven't beaten quite a few of them, you're going to love it. I mean, we'll talk about that stuff later, but yeah, man. Can't say enough about him.
Oh, boy.
So, anyways, one of the things that we're going to try and do on the show is we're going to try and do 2 reviews every single episode, and we will actually announce which games we're going to review on our Facebook page, which we'll talk about later as well. Since it's the first episode and we kind of just, we're kind of jumping right into it, we're just going to do one review on one game, and I just finished this one recently for the first time. And it's an older game, but it was still a blast to play. And Brian's obviously going to be playing it eventually.
Woohoo!
Yeah. So we'll get right into that. The review is going to be on the game Final Fantasy V. You know what? This might actually seem kind of biased a little bit, just because I'm a huge Final Fantasy freak. But it was still an absolute blast to play. Regardless, I can still tell you a few things that I didn't like about it. I can. Mark's giving me this look like...
All right, Squaresoft employee.
It's not... No. I don't really have anything to combat that. I would be if I could be, believe me. So anyways, the first thing we'll talk about is the theme. It's an older, like, Renaissance / fantasy type game. You got your dragons, knights, wizards, all that stuff. That's what I love. That's my bread and butter. It's fantastic. Couldn't ask for anything better for me personally. If you're into that, I mean, this is right up your alley. Graphics, it's an old school. What did it? I think came out on Super Nintendo initially, or was it Super Famicom?
I think so.
No, it was Super Nintendo.
Super Nintendo.
Yep.
I mean, if you've played 4 or 6, it's similar to that, just, top-down sprites. To me, it's still attractive. It probably doesn't hold up that well today, but it's still, I mean, as long as you can get past that, it's still a blast. So as far as story goes, it's basically like you start out as just one guy who's basically just a wanderer. He runs into 2 other people who join him. They see, some danger as far as there's a tower that the girl's father is at, and she needs to go rescue him. They go there. If you ever played any Final Fantasies, especially the early ones, they have a lot to do with crystals.
Gotta love the crystals.
So this game is just heavy on the crystals. That's all it is. Basically, I mean, that's where it starts. You go from there, and you are just trying to save and restore all the crystals throughout the world. You kind of don't really, because the crystals all shatter every time you get to a new one, but you get new jobs out of it, which is pretty cool. And I'll talk about that when I get to the gameplay part. But, I mean, you pretty much just go through all 3 planets and you fight and do normal RPG stuff. It's pretty cut and dry. Music. There's really not much to say. It's Final Fantasy. You know the music's going to be awesome. It's
Nobuo Uematsu.
exactly. Yeah.
Probably pronounced it wrong. We're going to get hate mail for that. But
it's I mean, you can't go wrong. It's Final Fantasy. Music is solid. Check it out if you haven't already. You can just go to. There's tons of websites that have it.
Don't they have a Final Fantasy orchestra? I believe that tours. Yeah, I mean,
Distant Worlds.
Yeah,
is what it's called. Yeah, I've heard it's amazing. So gameplay. I really wish they would bring this back. They kind of did in Final Fantasy X-2 with the outfits, but we won't get into that.
today.
Girl, I love that outfit.
Yeah. But there's a ton of jobs in there. You only get 4 characters to join you, which may seem like a few to me. I like to have as many as possible and switch them in and out. You don't have to in this one because you can change their jobs repeatedly into whatever. And there's so many. It's crazy. Anything from, Black Mage, White Mage to Animal Trainer and Geomancer. I mean, just all over the map. And so there's so much like customization and replayability as far as, how you play the game, which is a blast. So, I mean, as far as my overall impressions, I would definitely recommend this game if you are a lover of retro games like I am. I love the old school stuff. Final Fantasy VI is my favorite game of all time, and I mean, this is kind of just right up that alley. It's turn-based combat. It's just simple storytelling. Doesn't try to be overly amazing. It was at the time, but as far as it's obviously aged quite a bit, but it's still a great play if you can go back and appreciate that time period and what came out at that point.
Well, and luckily, pixels. I mean, if you go back and play original PlayStation 1 games, pixelated sprite games always hold up better than the polygon games, just due to
Definitely.
Just it's animation. It's like cartoons rather than he's got 4. Lara Croft's got triangle boobies. What's going on?
Cloud
here?
from Final Fantasy VII has square hands.
Yeah, and what is up with his hair? It's like a giant spike. You could throw him and impale somebody. So it's just better.
Absolutely. Okay, so our next segment that we're going to do is something that is going to be kind of the main theme of the show. We're going to try and do top 5s every single episode. We each have our own list of top 5 games. And this is going to be just any subject, from best music, best story, most nostalgic, worst games, just anything.
That'll be a fun week for
we
me.
can.
Nitpicker
no
strikes again.
So, I guess we'll just get right into it. This week we're going to be talking about our top 5 games of all time. Figure since it's the first episode, this will help you get to know the kind of people we are and what kind of games we're into. I'm going to say in advance that my list is very, very early Squaresoft heavy.
He used to work for him.
I didn't, and like I said, I would in a heartbeat if they offered me a job. Sponsor. I really think that they're okay now. They're still pretty good, but back then they were just creme de la creme. They were amazing.
You're of the ilk that thinks Enix corrupted them, huh?
Yeah. So, not really. I think Enix put out some pretty good stuff.
Oh, yeah,
Eidos.
So,
Eidos is the one.
Yeah.
That
Hey.
yeah,
Say we will.
I'm not going to comment on that at all.
Sponsors.
So, my number 5 game of all time is not a Square game. It is the very first Pokemon that came out, Red and Blue. I played Blue. I collected them all. I put so many hours in that thing when it came out. It was just an absolute blast. And the thing that I like about Pokemon, I only put Red and Blue is because it's the most nostalgic. It's the one I put the most time into. But really, the whole series. If you look at Red and Blue all the way up until now, Black and White, and X and Y that are going to be coming out later this year, they do, in my opinion, exactly what sequels should do. They keep everything that's good from the previous game and just add to it. And I think that's just phenomenal. And you can tell from one to the next, they just keep the good stuff and just put more good stuff in. And it's been great all the way through.
My number 5 is Deus Ex. Deus Ex.
It's Deus. You
I always just say Deus.
Yeah, Deus.
Right. Okay. So yeah, this is definitely one of my favorite games. Came out the year 2000, the same year that Thief 2 came out, also an Ion Storm game. Has a lot of the same kind of gameplay. It's a game that's filled with large environments. There's always multiple ways to accomplish tasks, to get into secret compounds and stuff like that. It's sort of free roaming. You always go back to that UNATCO headquarters or to Hong Kong and go all around the city and do whatever the heck you want.
I own it. I haven't played it yet, though.
It's a lot of fun.
I need to
You've
get
got it on
into
the PC, which is better because there's lots of loading screens on the PS2 version.
Really?
But there's like huge side quests where you can sneak into a tower in Hong Kong and steal a plasma sword from some rich old lady if you want to.
Who hasn't wanted to
Who's
steal?
never who here is listening has never actually thought to themselves, I'm going to go steal a plasma sword from an old lady because that's what old ladies collect, plasma swords.
I know,
No
I've
kidding.
thought that.
It's also got a really good story. It kind of links together some sort of startling facts, statistics about the real world, along with all the more popular conspiracy theories that crazy people believe, into like a nice coherent plot. And you get to go all over the world and listen to awesome music, awesome
cool.
synthesizer music.
I need to play that. I played the most recent one, but never played the first two. So it's pumped me up.
Very cool.
My number 5 is an old Sony exclusive called Legend of Dragoon.
Nice.
Basically, if you guys haven't played it, it's Power Rangers meets Final Fantasy meets Dragons. So you have these adventurers who are tasked to find basically an evil sorcerer. I know it's very, common, but his name is Melbu Frama, and you have to basically use dragon souls to create sweet suits of armor with wings, and they're different colors. So that's where the Power Ranger theme comes in. Looking back, it had the had the Final Fantasy VII pre-rendered backgrounds, the very poorly animated sprites, but something about that game resonated with me, and it's been on my top 5 for long time.
I think I've asked you this before, and anybody listening who's played this game will know what I'm talking about. But Albert or Lavitz?
See, you like Lavitz,
Yep.
but I always thought Albert was kind of like he was the prince. He had like the princely air to him.
Did you own a Ken doll as a kid too?
No, well, see, I'm a pretty boy. I have like long flowing hair and I have a freshly shaven face because this is radio, and you have to take my word for it.
Yes, we have the perfect faces for radio.
Absolutely. But yeah, Legend of Dragoon. Just, it's one of my faves. Been on there forever.
I second that. It really is a great game. The only thing that irked me about it was the world map and just walking from one place to another. If you've ever played Super Mario World on Super Nintendo, it's just like that, going from level to level.
Well, to be fair, I don't think that Sony wanted to completely copy Squaresoft because it's very similar to Final Fantasy VII.
It's awesome.
I know, but you have to give them a little credit where credit's due. But that's my 5.
I understand. I agree. Okay, so my number 4 is a Super Nintendo game that I still to this day tell people about, and I always say, you should come over, we should totally play it. The Secret of Mana. It is basically, think of like Zelda, but you could play multiplayer, and you've got RPG elements as far as like leveling up, magic experience, and all that stuff. I mean, it's just, I can't say enough good things about it. It's fantastic.
One of the all-time greats, gotta believe.
If you can play, it's a blast to play by yourself, but if you can play with 2 other people, it's second to none. It really, really just is a blast as far as a multiplayer game, and just as a solid RPG. The story is, it's pretty good. It's pretty cut and dry. But, just getting together and playing with your friends is phenomenal. The only thing that doesn't hold up well, and if they ever remade it, it'd be sweet because they could, do something about this. When you use your magic, basically the whole screen freezes, and you have to wait for that person to pick their spell to use on, whatever it is, and then right when they go again, then you can start moving again. But, you get beyond that, and the whole game is just top to bottom fantastic.
My number 4, and I'm really shocked that nobody else had this on their list at all. My number 4 is Chrono Trigger.
It was close on mine.
He's looking at you, JJ.
I know, it was close.
I'm a little offended that it's not on your list. No, it's a fantastic game. It's got some of the best visuals ever came out of the Super Nintendo.
Definitely.
Obviously came near the end of the life cycle.
Yeah, last gen.
It's filled with cliche RPG characters.
Yep.
You know, a princess in distress.
Does it have the annoying whiny kid? Never played it, so. Because, well, I think that's a recent Japanese thing with the JRPGs where they got that kid that's like,
yeah, there is an annoying whiny kid in there, but he's not like a playable character.
oh, thank God.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the main character is a silent protagonist.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's not one of the main, like, a playable character.
Yeah. But there's nothing wrong with cliches.
No,
If you
not if
use
do
them right.
Yeah.
Touche.
If you know what to do with them. It's also got one of the best scenes ever in an RPG, the courtroom scene.
Oh, yeah.
After you've played the opening segment, you go through the fair and do your time travel bit and come back.
Yep.
And all of the little choices you've made that seemed completely insignificant come into play and frame you as this conspirator against the crown.
Or save you.
That's awesome.
Or save you.
For such an old game, that's very, like...
It is. It's awesome.
mature storytelling.
Yeah, first time I played that, I mean, obviously, I was a bad guy because I didn't... It blew me away because I was like, oh, I can't believe, I did pick up the basket and steal it.
Exactly. It's like, these are things you've been doing in RPGs for years.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, picking up
punished for
something that's not yours is a bad thing.
It's like they have consequences. What?
Yep. And the best thing about it is like the time travel aspect. Obviously,
Yeah.
you can't really not talk about that. Like going to the past, doing something, and having it affect something in the future. I mean, Chrono Trigger was just years beyond anything that had come out at that point.
It was kind of the dream team of RPG makers too.
Definitely.
It wasn't just Squaresoft.
And the music is great.
Yep.
Yeah, it's on my must-play list. After I get done with my journey, it's definitely going to be Chrono Trigger time.
Have you not played it?
I have not played any of the Chrono games, and funny thing is I have been wanting to for so long. I haven't.
Missing
Everybody
out.
tells me that it's one of the best, and for some reason it's like I always have something better to play, but I've always longed to play the Chrono games.
A lot of people who like Chrono Trigger, like love it, aren't big fans of Chrono Cross. I personally think they're both fantastic.
Right.
I had
think
an
people
absolute
were
blast.
hoping for more of a direct
Correct.
sequel.
Yeah,
It's
Right.
just a different beast entirely.
absolutely. But it's still an absolute blast to
Nice.
play.
Yeah.
So
I'd love the plot twist in Chrono Trigger.
yes,
I don't know if
Definitely.
I should say it or not.
probably not.
Let's just say something happens. You have to use time travel to solve it, and it
Yeah.
turns out what happened.
Was due to the time travel?
Yes,
Yeah.
That's very awesome.
the whole full circle thing.
Yeah, the paradox.
I know the game's old, but Brian just said he hasn't played it yet, so I don't think we should.
That's fine.
I don't want to spoil it for you.
Well, it's my fault I haven't played it yet.
All right, so Brian's number 4.
My number 4 is actually it was originally the Uncharted trilogy by our lovely Naughty Dogs, but I just got done with Last of Us about a week ago, and dang it bumped that off. I have The Last of Us as number 4. Wow, is all I have to say about that game. I mean, I don't usually believe internet hype, and I know they did the embargo on the whole review for the major review sites, a week early, and it was just getting, and I'm always skeptical, and the internet's always hyping stuff up, but I was like, you know what, I'm going to try it, and I know you two have not beat it yet, so I will not say anything, but once you beat the game, you will sit and just wonder, like, wait a second. It's one of those type of games where you actually have thought process after the game, the credits roll, and you're like, oh, wait, that's what happened. Or, the only other game that has done that to me recently is the Bioshock Infinite game, where I was like trying to connect everything and realize that, it's not as I thought it was. So, yeah, that's my number 4. I don't mind the gameplay too much. I basically just killed everything.
Joel's kind of a jerk.
Well, yeah, and he is a jerk.
You learn why in the first,
that's
15
fine.
minutes.
He well, here's the thing. Without spoiling it, here's the thing. He's a jerk, but you understand his pain.
Yeah.
But once the end comes, you actually go, oh, I don't know if him being a jerk is actually healthy. Like, you understand why he's a jerk, but then you're like, but I don't want him to be a jerk anymore.
Yeah.
You know, you're like, you understand. Let me put it this way. I'm rambling. You understand he's a jerk. You know why he's a jerk and why he's hard and cold. But once he starts breaking that jerk vibe, he actually becomes the biggest jerk in the world.
I have no idea what you just said.
To those people who have beaten it, that's exactly, you know exactly what I'm talking about. He overcomes his jerkdom, his jerkhood, and then he actually becomes the biggest a-hole in the entire world after that.
Oh, man.
So it's like you sympathize. You're like, oh, he is connecting with Ellie, and then all of a sudden you're like, I hate you, Joel. I hate everything about you. So,
I guess I'll just have to beat it.
it's great.
The last
Absolutely
20% is a doozy.
Oh, absolutely. Up to the very, very last line in the game. You're like, what?
Cool.
So,
All right, so on to our number threes. My number 3 is it has sparked quite a bit of controversy over the years, and I'm sure I will get people who agree incredibly with me and people who disagree incredibly with me. Final Fantasy VII. I love it. I you know what? Even if you can't stand the game and don't like it, you cannot deny that when it came out, this was top of the line. Like, nobody had ever seen this before.
revolutionary.
It was absolutely. I mean, it's everything from, you know, the characters to the materia system to the way battles are run to all the items you can get and the boss fights and everything in the story. I mean, I absolutely love it. Does it have flaws? Sure, and it definitely, graphically, it definitely does not hold up today.
Did not age well.
No, for sure. Which, you know, I would absolutely love to see them remake it, as so many people have been begging for years.
That's not going to happen for a while.
I know. Square. What the article say? It said SquareSoft or Square Enix.
They're not going to remake it until they can make a game better than it.
Yeah, that's right.
That's their benchmark.
So, which, you know, I understand to a certain extent, but then they need to also stop remaking all the other ones too. You know,
Agreed.
I mean, not that I dislike them remaking them. I think it's great, but why wouldn't you know, do the one that everybody wants to see remade? You know, they give you that tech demo a few years back when PS3 got announced, and
That was smart of them.
Unbelievable. So, I mean, yeah, Final Fantasy VII is just it will always have a place in my heart, and I love it. I do.
Can't argue with that.
Definitely up there on my top games.
My number 3 game is Half-Life 2. Anyone else? Huh?
Haven't played it yet.
Haven't played it.
The fact that you haven't played it yet, JJ, is I'm giving you the same look that you gave me when I haven't played the Chrono games. It's like another revolutionary game.
Well, hold on. Let me explain why I haven't played it yet.
All right,
Mark knows this. I have this thing where I do not like to play sequels, or, you know, like before I play the first one.
I'm the exact
and
same
I
way.
have not played the first one all the way through yet. I've played a little bit of it, but I want to beat it first.
Black Mesa Source version?
No.
Should get that. It's much better graphics.
It's basically Half-Life 2 graphics, but the original Half-Life.
Yep.
It makes it much easier to play because I know the graphics are kind of janky.
I don't care about the graphics.
Right. Just I mean, dude, the two games are very revolutionary. Mark is definitely right.
I love it. The unbroken first-person narrative.
Yeah.
They don't ever cut away for a cutscene. The second game essentially starts immediately after the first game, and the following chapters right after that. You see everything from the main character's perspective. I don't want to say the plot's amazing, because I don't even really know what the plot is. It doesn't make any
Good
sense.
point.
But the presentation of what looks like a plot is really well done. City 17... I'm sure you've heard jokes on the internet.
Yeah.
City 17, the Orwellian setting, the monitors coming down and taking pictures of you and temporarily blinding you.
Yep.
And you've got it's a scary game too.
Ravenholm. When you get to that part, you're gonna poop.
Well, even before Ravenholm, when you're
True.
just escaping from the lab and the manhacks start coming at you in the tunnels. Manhacks are just little.
I played
tiny
through some of
floating blade
Amnesia,
saws.
so I know about fear.
Amnesia's scary, but honestly, there's something about like Ravenholm that you're just it takes you from like, okay, I'm escaping these, militant, okay, yeah. I'm hiding in sewers. And
I
all
would
of a sudden,
much rather play Ravenholm than Amnesia.
True that.
Mark and I played through Amnesia together, and then we got to the end and made his girlfriend finish it for us.
I won't even play it. It's too scary for me, man.
But no,
man.
it's a fantastic game.
Yeah.
It was actually designed by multiple. They broke the team into pods, these little units to build each section of the game.
Mhm.
So as soon as you feel like you're starting to get bored with a section, like the canal section, that's right when it switches over to a new area with new gameplay and new.
It's absolutely awesome.
Yeah,
Cool.
great game.
All right.
Yeah, way to go, Mark. My number 3 is The Witcher 2. I was gonna put the Witcher in general, like the duology, as you will, the duo-ilogy, the soon-to-be trilogy. But honestly, I found one very tough to get through. I liked the story, I did, but The Witcher 2 just did everything right. I couldn't believe that this game wasn't a bigger market game when I was playing it. To this day, the graphics still hold up. In 2013, what did this game come out in, like 2009, 2008?
I think so. Yeah.
I think The Witcher 1 was 2007, and then this Witcher. You go back and you're like, this no-name publisher just come out with this absolutely awesome and it's got a very mature take on the fantasy world. You know how you have the Lord of the Rings kind of PG. This game just, if you guys like the Game of Thrones, The Witcher is basically a very mature. There's really no right decision. It's just a dark world, like life. It's political intrigue.
Does your life represent the Witcher series?
I often hunt. I often hunt, demons and Stragas.
Would you like a silver-plated sword for your birthday?
Yes, I need.
No, he's going to rob that plasma sword from the old lady.
Yeah,
There you go.
but I don't. I don't know if plasma cuts Strigas. I need silver, right?
What if it's silver plasma? I don't know.
But yeah, The Witcher 2. I left off The Witcher 1 because it is difficult to get through. It just it was the first go around. But the improvements they made to Witcher 2, I was absolutely blown away. Number 3 game of all time for me. Yep.
And man, Witcher 3 looked crazy.
Yes.
Everyone was saying best of E3. The trailers I saw, I seriously cannot wait. I'm gonna probably buy that game 4 times just to prove a point.
I really appreciate the Witcher series because it has the pulse of a classic pen and paper role-playing game.
Absolutely.
Not a lot of games we see these days, not even really the Skyrim games, really have that, where it feels like a crafted story, but it's still all about choice.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What you want to do.
I definitely have to check those out.
Dude, it's something to behold.
I own them both. Just haven't tried it yet. Okay, so number 2. You guys have the same number 2. I will go first with mine then.
Do you feel
my
left
number.
out?
Do I feel left out? No. I mean, your number 2 is great, but my number 2 is, when it came out, definitely it was probably one of the most complicated games I've ever played in my life. I mean, the story has so many elements to it, and it's fantastic. Xenogears. If you haven't played this, it's like, I don't even know there's really nothing out there that you can compare it to because it's so many different things combined. Like Mech Warrior meets Final Fantasy meets some grand epic scoped game that I can't even think about. Sure, yeah. But it really, really is great. The characters are all fantastic. There's so many places you go. Each and every character has their own really strong, solid backstory. And literally, I remember playing it for the first time, and you only get 3 party members in battle, and depending on who you have with you, that's how the story kind of unfolds. And I remember just being so mad that I couldn't use everybody because I really, really wanted to see what everybody had to say because each character was so strong and so had their own vibrant attitude. It was just great. It's a little overwhelming for some people when they play it, especially the first time, because there really is so much to it. I haven't played it in a long time, so I'm not sure how well it holds up today. I just know that, thinking back on it, I really saved for the end when I had to do a lot of grinding because I was not prepared for the last couple of battles.
I was told by somebody who played it and is one of his top games that, because I plan on playing it, but I have not. I heard the Tower of Babel makes you want to kill yourself, so I can't wait for that part.
It's you actually go through there a couple of times.
Yeah,
too.
that's what I was told.
Yeah.
He basically said every time you go through that tower, you're going to literally want to kill yourself.
It's not the battles. It's the freaking jumping all over
that's
the place.
what. Yeah,
There's jump puzzles.
The
and stuff.
jump puzzles. Yep.
Yeah, I know exactly what he's talking about. But I mean, it's one of those games where you beat it, and then you literally just sit back in your chair, and you're just like, wow,
Best kind of game.
that
right
was
there.
incredible. So I mean, yeah, number 2, Xenogears, hands down. It's great.
So me and Brian have the same number 2,
Oh yeah,
Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past.
Super Nintendo.
You should
Great
be
game.
ashamed for not having that on your list.
It's
Classic.
up there. I like
I
it.
understand it's in your top 10, right? In your top 10, maybe 6.
Maybe
Oh,
top 20.
no.
Maybe top
Yeah,
20.
says the SquareSoft employee.
I know.
Man,
I'm sorry.
It was a revolutionary
I'm
leap
sorry.
from
I know it's
from
great.
the Nintendo, from original Nintendo Zelda.
Just the
To
story.
this.
So go ahead, Mar. Go ahead, JJ.
Look. First of all, let me just say my list is, it's tentative because it also
Yeah, but it's
depends on what I
impossible to be
feel
fair.
like,
Sure.
playing at the time. It's like
Yeah.
I look at these and I'm like, those are all awesome, but there's plenty of other times where I think of another game and I'm like, oh, the game's so great, I need to go back and replay it, and I might throw that, somewhere in my top 10
Right, it's
too.
fluctuating.
This list would probably be better titled "Our Favorite, Not Best."
Well, yeah.
'Cause
Yeah,
if
it's
I was
just-
looking at what's like objectively the best, it would probably
If you
be
look
a
at your show
different
notes,
list.
it says our personal top 5 games.
Yeah, it's just
All right.
opinions. We're all respectful of
It
opinions
is,
here.
it is our own.
And
Just
Mark,
'cause
speaking of that, I really respect this number 2 opinion.
Thank you.
Really
you know
do.
what? Just wait till we get to number 1, mister.
Oh yeah,
No, it's an awesome game. The obviously it's got classic overworld exploration, item acquisition, all that good stuff. Awesome dungeons and puzzles.
you turn into a bunny rabbit,
Yes.
and you don't know why, and you think it's weird, but you also giggle.
Yeah.
I remember that. They take that. You take that mirror, and you go, "Oh, hey, what's this?" It's an alternate reality. I mean, think about
That really started the whole trend in the Zelda games of having that weird
a
duality.
light world
Yeah.
the duality, and that's the thing. It did it in such a way. The story in that game, because I was very young when it came out, probably 8, and I was telling these guys back before that game, I was playing Smash TV and Mario, very bare bones story. All it was just shoot stuff and
Hey, Mario's story is deep and engaging.
yeah, you know what?
Save the princess.
Yeah, you save that princess every time. But in this game, it had a princess, right? So you're thinking, okay, they're sticking with what they know. But there were so many nuances. I think Mark will agree that it's the duality of the worlds, and it shows
Yeah.
you what evil does to one world, good does to another.
And it had awesome puzzles. You
Oh,
had
the
you had to like go to the dark world to get past a barrier and then switch back to the light world.
Yep.
And
Well, and
I loved it.
There are not a lot of games that do this today, but boss battles in those games were all. Think about it. There was not a similar boss battle in that whole game. So you
Yeah.
had in the first 3. You had the light world first 3 before you got into the dark world. You had the big old jumping around statues, pretty standard. Then you went over and you had to fight the help me with the second one. I can't remember the second one. Anyway,
I'm drawing a blank. It's
been
been a
so
long
long.
but
time.
then that
I've
third
played
one,
it.
you had that big worm. His head would knock you off the top thing, so you had to go around and hit his tail. Every
That I
boss.
remember.
Was that the one in the mountain?
Yeah, that
Where
was
it
the third one.
There were holes in the floor, and they would
Yeah.
knock you back down.
If you hit,
Oh,
he had a
You'd
big
have
head.
full health every time you came back.
Yeah,
up.
he had a big head, and if you hit the head, it would bounce you back, and you'd fall off into the floor below. So you had to sneak around his head and hit his tail. Each boss was tailored differently, and and each one had a weakness. And not a lot of games do that. Nowadays boss battles are oh, here's a giant guy, shoot this weak point or hit this weak point.
Yep.
And it's like blinking, and then you can see it. Not in the Zelda games. It was just like, hey, figure this out. Here's what's going
Yep.
on.
Definitely. All right. So, our number 1 personal, Mark, games of all time. Mark and I have the same one, so we'll go ahead and let Brian go first on this one.
Okay. Well, so I've been a gamer all my life, and I like to be. Though I like to go with nostalgia, JJ. I like to actually add modern games because honestly, it would be I could do a top 5 of nostalgic games in a heartbeat, but I think this one really opened my eyes to storytelling and gaming, and it was the Mass Effect trilogy, the whole trilogy. I know a lot of you think, and I as well, number 1 was kind of janky, a lot like the Witcher 1. They're kind of just testing the waters, weird combat, but the dialogue trees And then the revolutionary idea that, hey, the decisions you personally make in the games are actually going to carry over to the other games. So if you think about trilogies before that, there were no decision making, because if you made a decision that didn't fit with the way the writers wanted to go in the second game, then they couldn't do it. So this, what did they do at BioWare? They said, let's make them have choices, and then they'll affect the whole situation in the other games. And
I think before that, at least like in a lot of the mainstream games, about the only thing you could transfer from one game to the next in like a trilogy or series was like, oh, you get a cool swimsuit for your character.
Right, yeah. It was like, what was the point? So, I mean,
Yep.
and that's the selling point, is I tell people, like, hey, you can jump right in at Mass Effect 2, you can jump right in at Mass Effect 3, but if you want the full experience, you got to play through the whole trilogy. And so, if you think about it, that whole trilogy is like one game, because I could have a wholly different experience than JJ if he played. It would be 100% different for him. He'd be like, oh yeah, well I killed the Rachni Queen. Spoiler alert.
As for the first game, is fine.
Right. No, I'm just, if you guys don't know about that, then don't.
I haven't played any of them yet.
Oh,
I played the first one a little bit.
That didn't spoil anything for you.
I own all three because I bought the trilogy that just came out.
Yeah,
and I want to play through.
You got to play through all of them.
You got to give them credit for sort of being there when the resurgence of the Western RPG was just starting to happen.
Yeah. And then my last thing I'll say about it, since it is my number one game, is the depth of the one thing I love about games, and it'll put it up on your list, is if you get a very, very good. So I'm a wiki reader. So when I played World of Warcraft for years, and I would delve through the lore. I loved reading about just off the beaten path, just random stuff.
Sure.
And that codex in Mass Effect was like my favorite thing in the world. I would spend hours just reading everything.
I love when games do that.
That is my favorite part of games, because then you get a richness to the world that you can't. You'd be like, well, okay, what's the Turians' point? Like, what's their government like? And so then when you hear the character say something, oh, I read that in the codex. That's why he's like that, and it just fills it out for me. So games like that, and they had so much richness to that universe. That's why it's my number one.
Yeah, I just wish they hadn't simplified the gear.
True. A lot of people complain that they went from an RPG to more of a third-person shooter. I don't necessarily mind that too much. Just because I didn't really play it for the gameplay.
Yeah.
I just like the story.
Sure.
But I understand what Mark's saying. It was they took the customization down to a bare minimum. I assume
that's how I felt about BioShock Infinite as well.
Yeah. Yep.
But if you look at it, it was really fun. It's only when you looked back that you
hindsight.
Yeah.
But that's my number one, and it's gonna take another kind of like epic trilogy or epic story to supplant that one.
Cool.
Yep.
All right. Well, Mark and I, as I said, we've got the same number one game for ourselves, and
the best.
It is. I mean, Mark just said it. It is the best. Final Fantasy VI.
Woohoo!
I cannot say enough good things about this game. Obviously, my games are, old Squaresoft games and everything like that. I would take all the other ones off in a heartbeat if it meant just having this one, all 5.
Yeah.
It's spectacular. You've got, how many, 14 characters?
I think so.
Each one of them has their own unique backstory that is
Yes.
completely different from the main plot of the game.
And who is the main character?
There isn't one.
Exactly.
There
Final
isn't one.
Fantasy Dissidia thinks it's Terra.
There's an
Well,
argument.
she was on the
a lot
cover.
of people think it's Terra, but it's not. You don't even need her to beat the game. You can skip over her completely in the second half of the game. She's a huge part. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
And her story's awesome. But no, by no means do I feel at least that she is the main character.
Yeah.
There's so much. It is the only game that I've ever played where I've done every single thing possible from start to finish. All the side quests, all
There's
the
so much to
side
do.
missions and everything. For its time, oh man, I can't say enough good things about it.
You're
It
making me
is
really want to
fantastic.
get through my journey to get to that game.
Well, how about Kefka? Huh?
Kefka, the villain,
Evil genius?
He is literally like he's the Joker from Batman.
Yeah. He killed General Leo.
Maybe even a little crazier, to be honest,
is
if that's
crazier.
possible.
Yeah.
It's you hate him, but you love him because of it. And especially when the game first came out, if you played it then, obviously you've got your Super Nintendo sound effects and everything. If you've played the game before, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But the laugh that he makes is, it just gets stuck in your head. and you just every time he does it, you're just like, one of these days, man. As soon as I get to you, just wait.
From the first time he shows up at Figaro Castle.
Yep, absolutely. Telling the soldiers to wipe the sand off his boots.
Yep.
Oh man, I can't say enough about it. It's fantastic.
And it was that magical steampunk world.
You know what's crazy about that? Is that I am not a fan of steampunk.
Really?
I really don't like it. But this is my favorite game of all time. It's so weird.
It was steampunk before steampunk was steampunk.
That's true.
Yeah, there was no such thing as steampunk when that game came out.
The magic system, all the espers and everything. It's just spectacular.
Can't argue with Magitech armor.
Magitech armor.
If I could have one thing from a video game actually exist, it would be Magitech armor.
Well, they're essentially just mechs that use magic, sort of, just beams.
That's all they are.
What else are they?
Don't kill his dreams.
Sorry. I mean, they're mechs that use magic and shoot beams. Man, how cool is that?
Yep. Yeah, that's amazing. It's so cool.
You respect his decisions.
And it's also got that duality that two of my other games have. The Dark World in Zelda, and like the time travel, seeing the same world in different settings.
Yep. World of Balance, World of Ruin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This one's the best.
I agree.
Because I say so.
Hands down. I agree wholeheartedly with you. It's phenomenal.
It goes from a sort of somewhat linear game to this complete open world after the world falls apart.
Yeah. And you don't have to do everything. You can pretty much, get the bare minimum of characters and run straight to the end. You really, when you play, you don't want to at all, though. You want to know what happened to everybody else. You want to know, because, it's in a way, it's kind of heartbreaking, because you're literally like, you can get, like, what, 9 or 10 characters in the World of Balance.
Mm-hmm.
This huge event happens, the world completely changes. You're left with one character alone on an island. And that's it. And you got to go find the rest of them.
And you got to save her friend.
Yep. And that's the end. You might not even save him. It depends on how well you do.
That was bold.
Yep. So it's spectacular. There really isn't.
What about the opera?
You can't. Yeah, that's true. You can't talk about Final Fantasy VI without mentioning the opera scene.
That's like that courtroom scene.
Yep.
But even bigger.
I still get goosebumps whenever I play through that.
I feel like that was a period of experimentation in RPGs, and we haven't really gotten back to that.
I recently went to Nakacon, and Nobuo Uematsu was there, and during one of his Q&A panels, somebody had asked him which Final Fantasy was your favorite to work on, and he pretty much just said, hands down, 6. The music that came out of that game, Aria is, oh man, it's spectacular.
You guys are really making me want to play this game. Can't wait.
It's amazing. There's nothing else I can really say about it other than just fantastic. If you haven't played it, give it a chance.
I'm sure most of the people we're talking to already know.
Probably.
They don't need to hear
Except for me. Hi, guys.
Oh, yeah. You haven't played it at all?
I watched my brother play for like first 15 minutes. I saw the mechs.
Whoa.
But that's why I wanted to take my journey.
I look forward to hearing about it.
What my brother said the same thing. He says it's one of his favorite games, and I'm sure when I get done, it'll be planting a lot of the top 5s. But that's why I wanted to take the Final Fantasy journey. I know there are some kind of floppers in there, but I want to do 1 through 13 too. I've beaten 7, 8, I've beaten 9, 10, but the earlier ones, I think 4 is the only one I've beaten. So I feel like I've been robbed of.
IGN called 6 the best RPG of all time.
The thing is I know you're a SquareSoft employee and you love IGN and all this. But
I hope you trip.
IGN is one of our favorite sources.
Yeah, we love program. IGN. They are not biased at all. Sponsors. Anyway, Final Fantasy VI. I can't wait to get to it. Thanks.
All right, great. So that's our top 5. So normally now what we would do is we would kind of go over like emails and try to get feedback from people and everything. Since obviously it's the first episode, we're not really going to have any of that. So what I'd like to do... I
got an email here. JJ says, Dear JJ, why are you so handsome? From
who?
Swishy Dog 4328.
Swishy Dog 4328.
Yeah.
Right.
Sorry.
So what I'd like to do is kind of just talk about a little bit what to expect. Hopefully we'll be doing this for a long while. we all just have such a great time just talking about video games, and especially like, with events like E3, especially this last one that came out. I mean, we literally sat around and talked for hours about the Xbox and the PS4 and stuff, and I'm sure we still probably could. But I just want to kind of go over what to expect from us in the future here. So obviously you heard our top 5. We plan to do that every episode if possible, just something new every episode. We have a Facebook page up now, just the Frozen North. You do a search for it, it should be, I think it's the only one on there, so at least right now, you should be able to see it. We are going to get a Twitter. I don't know if it's going to be up by the time we have this episode out. Hopefully.
Sure it will.
All right, Mark says it will, and
super easy.
He's the guy. So we will have Twitter up by the time this comes out. And also, we have an email address. If you want to contact us, please, by all means, let us know what you like about the show, what you didn't like about the show. Just any feedback is good feedback. The email address is frozennorthpodcast@gmail.com. It's also on our Facebook page as well, so if you... there's 2 N's in there. I know people are going to get confused. It's Frozen North. There's 2 N's there.
Given those are 2 words.
Correct. Yeah. Well, I know, but I mean, because I thought about just leaving it as 1 N. And
then it would be Froze North.
Shut up. So,
next time we won't put our vibrating phones on the...
Your phone is...
recording table.
Is that Swisher Dog 4438?
Yeah, that was him. I got the email.
He just loves you.
He says I'm handsome.
We'll send him some exclusive twit pics.
Exclusive twit pics.
All right. So, like I said before, what we plan to do in the future is to announce what games we're going to review on our Facebook page. Since we're just starting out, we're going to go ahead and tell you what 2 games we're going to do for the next episode. If you'd like to play along with us, we're going to be playing these for the next around 2 weeks or so, and then we'll do a review when the next episode comes out. We plan on doing a bi-weekly show. The next 2 games that we're going to be playing are Far Cry 3 and Kingdom Hearts 1. We haven't decided who's playing what yet, but we'll figure that out and we'll get back to you. But both of those games will be reviewed, so if you want to play along with us, either game or both, if you got the time, see if you agree, disagree with our reviews, and like I said, drop us an email, let us know on Facebook, tell us both the good and bad. We'd love to hear from you. So I think that's all from me.
Sounds good.
All right, guys, that'll be the end.
that is.
Hey guys, by the way,
the end.
The end. that's we should end it each week. Just so anyway, guys. By the way, the end.
We should definitely just leave this whole part in. This song was made available via the Creative Commons Attribution License. The song, Somewhere in the Stars, was written and produced by SoundCloud user _TWC.